am so content, dare I say happy, that I'm just tickled pink that it had such a visceral reaction for people. You know, a lot of women seem to resonate with the content, and a lot of men seem to have their panties in a bunch.
Yes. Which is what I really loved, because for me, it was mostly positive. So traditionally we think for women, when you get a man, he enhances your social status, he enhances your power, it expands you. But for today's day and age, it's not necessarily as true as it once was. That to be said, this concept for women who are kind of coming into this, and we talked about tacit knowledge versus structured knowledge, this awareness that I bring a lot to the table. I have a lot to offer. I have a very full life. I've worked very hard on myself. And the pool of people who I'm expected to mate with haven't done the same. And I'm told that my value is whether or not I can link up with that person who hasn't worked as hard to be the person that I am today. And them being like, there's something not right about that.
And who's controlling the idea? Who's controlling the idea of that idea of value? Men have dangled marriage in front of us like a carrot, since that is the thing that they feel like is the ultimate goal for us. And that is the pressure that society has put on us. It is no longer the truth. At the end of the day, it all comes down to control. That's what it all comes down to, you know, control over finances, control over status. The thing that I found most funny about all of the men that were kind of in an uproar over what I was saying, you know, when they hear the word decenter men, they hear I can no longer control anything that this woman does.
I am sorry for anybody who was offended by the episode that I put out this week, where I had titles like, if you're wondering why women chose the bear, or titles like, this is why good women are giving up on men. And in the comment section, there were a couple of comments I saw from people. I didn't read the rest because I already knew. I knew intuitively before I put it out that this was riding the line of what we stand for. And when I read the comments, I were like, hey, Shan, no, this is not it. One, somebody who was like the off the cuff comment that you made about, you know, men being lonely and bored, and that's why they're the ones who are most on YouTube, was underhanded and uncalled for. And another comment just saying, hey, what I know lovers to be is a place of inclusion. I know it to be a place where people can express, as Melyssa did, their profound opinions, and they can express what lights them up and their lifestyle, but they don't do it by making others feel small.
Because she's not all of the normal things that she would be looking for: a protector, a provider, you know, a ring on her finger. None of those things impress me or impress upon me, or even feel like I need them. You know, I have proven I can take very good care of myself, and my standards are based on what I have been able to provide for myself. But at the end of the day, I found it really interesting that people seem to feel like I need to justify what makes my life meaningful. I have determined what makes my life meaningful. I have my own system of values. I have my own ethics, my own moral code. I know what I place high on the list and what is not very important to me. And I have constructed my life in a way where I'm content every single day.
You really are. I want to ask about that because one of the main comments that people were making online was, Melyssa's one of those textbook women who, now that she's past her prime and she hasn't found a mate, is now angry and she's trying to poison the minds of young girls who are in their prime. Not talking about you in particular, we're talking about the objective opinion that women over a certain age have lost value.
Yeah.
And so now, if they haven't found a partner during their deemed valuable age, and they're now in this other sector, they're going to be negative and they're going to feel angry because the desire is gone and the opportunities are gone. So this is a form of coping. Can you smooth out for anybody who is confused? Because I love what you just shared of, it wasn't, I'm losing desire, and then I said, fuck it. There became a point where you said, I don't want your fucking desire.
Yeah, I mean, we probably have very different ideas as to what value actually means, you know? And so if you deem me to have lost value because I'm older, well, that's your prerogative. I don't really care. You're evaluating me on a scale that I don't even recognize. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me that my life is not meaningful because like what we're using, our methods of calculation are completely different, and oh, well, she's older, she never found a man. Honey, I found so many. Do you know how many times I was engaged and ran for my life? Like, oh, well, you should have had a better picker. Child, good night, okay? So many of you are trash. I'm sorry. Like, what the it's ridiculous. Like, for every woman, you cannot win for losing. I swear to God. Like, I left my grays in because guess what? I like them. Sometimes I cover them, sometimes I don't, because I don't give a shit. And there will be people who say, oh my God, look at her, she's aging. I'm turning 50. Yes, I'm aging. Look, it's not that tight anymore. I don't give a I love it. I love it. I'm sorry if this makes you mad, but I love it. I love aging. And that's the thing, is that we were lied to. Women were lied to about aging. Women, you're allowed to like it. If you want to get a nip and a tuck, go fucking get a nip and a tuck. If you don't, you don't. Because guess what? Either way, you're wrong. If you get a nip and a tuck and you cover the gray, why don't you love yourself? If you don't, well, you should do some work because you should at least cover the gray. Fuck off. Leave us alone. That's what women mean when we say leave us alone. Stop putting so many rules on us. Stop creating this, this unattainable standard. You keep moving the goalpost based on what you think is important, what you want, what your desire is connected to. Your goalpost. I don't care. And trust me, I'm not trying to convince anybody to get married, to not get married, to have kids, to not have kids. Do what you want with the gift of your life. Whatever makes you happy, do it. Yeah, I mean, literally, like, please tell me what about my life is not lit.
While I was busy making all of those videos about Cheyenne Bryant, I saw something and I said, I'm going to go back to it. And what I saw was something that you rarely see, which is a Black woman, I do believe she's biracial, apologizing to her male audience. And I'll get into why she was shortly. She was apologizing essentially to Black men. I think most of her male audience, I think they're Black men. I do believe that men comprise a smaller portion of her audience at large. And that was what made this so interesting, is that she was apologizing to a demographic that are not the majority on her channel. And by the way, she has a very large platform all over social media, especially here on YouTube. But when I saw her video, it said, I'm sorry. And as I listened to her and tried to piece together why she was apologizing, I realized that, one, this is rare because even I have been guilty of and accused of not apologizing enough. And I know as women, apologizing is something we do struggle with, and men can attest. To have a woman in your life, you can probably attest to the fact that her apologizing is something that may not happen a ton. So I wanted to come back to this. I thought this was worthy enough to highlight a Black woman not only apologizing, but apologizing publicly to her male audience, who I believe are largely Black men, who are not the majority. And the other layer to this is that she was apologizing for Melyssa Ford's anger, sort of the way in which maybe she sowed a seed of discord on her platform. And she very much has respect for Melyssa Ford, so she wasn't upset at Melyssa Ford, but she did not like the environment that Melyssa Ford's comments created amongst her male supporters, amongst her male audience and her male supporters. And ladies and gentlemen, again, this may be one of the only times we get to see a Black woman loudly and publicly apologizing in this way. But also, I think what this highlights is the changing landscape within the Black YouTube space. I'm not sure if Shan Boody or Shan Boody, I believe she's somewhat of like a sex educator, podcaster. I don't know if she considers herself to be part of Black YouTube, but her videos do often circulate, depending on who her guests are. Her videos circulate within Black YouTube. And I believe the landscape has changed a lot. And it seems as though people are more interested in balance than polarizing. So if we go back to several years ago, at the height of Kevin Samuels' career, things were very tense between Black men and Black women. Black men were, I guess, coming together, creating community online. Black men, felt as though they have a voice. This might be one of the first times they felt like they had a large voice online. They had spaces where they can go to and congregate, talk about their issues, and talk about their issues with Black women. And it seems as though this has died down. Granted, there are still men in the manosphere and whatever that's called, manosphere, and people still make, I guess, red pill content, but it seems as though a lot of that stuff is not going viral right now. It does seem as though, Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate, some of those voices, I don't really hear much about them. Now, again, it could be that I'm living under a rock and I just don't know what's going on. But it also could be that things have just changed and people are just not as interested in the polarizing stuff, but moving toward more balance. And so this is why the podcaster Shan felt the need to apologize, is because Melyssa Ford's words were very strong, were very, the men felt like her words were divisive. And of course, a lot of the women disagreed with this. But the podcaster, her goal, as she said, is to create balance and inclusivity, not to divide the genders. And so in the next several videos, I'm going to be talking about love and relationships, talking about a few different stories that I want to highlight. But the overarching theme, what I would like it to be, is about the changing landscape, not only online, but also in the world. And as I have said here before, I believe that, like, when I go out, I live in Maryland, when I go out, I see lots of Black couples together. So very obviously, Black love is alive and well. Online, several years ago, you would have thought that Black love didn't even exist because of all the tension. And again, like I said, a lot of that tension has started to die down. And it just seems as though Black men and Black women are seeking balance out in the world, as well as balanced commentary. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I could very well be living under a rock, and it could also be that it's just the way my algorithm is going. So let me know what you know about the so-called gender war and where that stands.
And that's not a commentary on Melyssa. That's not, if she came to do what she was meant to do, and she did it wonderfully. And I'll say the context of this is, this episode should not have been taped as close as it was to the first episode with Melyssa coming out. And that was a lesson for me. But that's the level of accountability I want to be held to. I'm saying it aloud so you guys know that. I don't want to be a rage baiter. I don't want to be somebody who makes the problem worse. I am moving towards a world where everybody is good and enough and loved. We can all be unique. We can all have differences, and nobody feels like they don't have access to respect, love, and belonging because of those differences. But never did I have to make an insult. I don't ever want anybody watching this channel, regardless of gender, regardless of age, sex, body size, ableism, to ever feel like you don't belong here. This is the last thing I want. I know who comes here mainly. Okay, so I do know who my core is, who I'm speaking to, and you know who you are if you know who you are. And so what I'm asking you for is accountability. I'm asking you to continue to hold me to this standard, to know what my value system is, to know what Lovers is meant to be, for us all to level set there, and for us to try to get to this space together where, again, we can talk about love and connection and unity and the diversity of ways that people can experience that. And we can uplift those ways without ever making anyone feel like shit in the process. That's what I would love. I would love that to be there.